Hello. I decided to do the video once again instead of the paper just because I'm enjoying doing this, talking in front of the camera, developing my communication skills, and I feel like I benefit a lot more than just writing a paper, especially it being a communications class. So I decided, this was actually a pretty hard decision for me because I have a lot of favorite shows and stuff that I could have done for this, but I chose my favorite anime, Hunter x Hunter. If you haven't heard about it, it's about this kid, Gon, who is sort of like an orphan, but he lives with his aunt, and his dad left him to go pursue being a hunter. And just the whole show's about Gon trying to find his dad and like reason why he left him to go pursue being a hunter instead of being there for him as a dad. And so throughout the show, we're introduced to multiple different characters, of course, multiple different conflicts, but I want to focus solely on a character by the name of Kurapika. And so I got a little picture of him right here. And I love Hunter x Hunter so much that they're on the back of my computer. That's Gon, Killua, and that's like the symbol for them. But this is Kurapika, who we're going to be focusing on today. And so he's part of Gon and Killua's little group that they kind of formed together to go throughout the show. And so Kurapika is a member of the Kurta clan, whose eyes turn this bright scarlet red when they go through intense emotions, like right here. So his eyes turn really bright red. And so there's another group called the Phantom Troupe, and they're kind of the bad guys in the show. They go around just murdering people because they have stuff that they want. So this is the Phantom Troupe. I think that's a pretty good visual. There's a lot of them. They come from this place called Meteor City, where all the kids there are just below poverty. It's about as bad as you can get in the world. They don't have money, everyone's stealing, murdering, raping each other. It's just not a good place to be. And they go through a lot of backstories in the anime and the manga of each one of these characters and how they grew up and how just devastating it was. I mean, I feel like a lot of shows do that, where they make you feel bad for the bad guy, when in reality, I mean, you shouldn't, but they end up doing that. They make you have this soft, like a good heart for the bad guys, which just is crazy to me how they can pull that off. And so when Kurapika was a kid, the Phantom Troupe came to where the Kurta clan lived, and they wiped every single person except for Kurapika because they wanted to take their scarlet eyes. Because they thought they were beautiful. I don't know, I mean, why do people do things? There's never really, because they had motive to take their eyes from them. So Kurapika, at a young age, watched his entire clan get wiped by this Phantom Troupe, this gang of just bad kids who just went through bad things in their life. You know, like hurt people. So that's what they did. And they kind of started this villain arc because when they were kids, Krollo, the leader of the clan, started this like play with all of his friends, and there was this one little girl. They wanted to put on a play for all the kids who were experiencing bad things in Meteor City, and they wanted it just to be a better place for everyone. So they put on this play, and it's like it has a great audience. Like, people are enjoying this. They're loving each and every one of these Phantom Troupe members. And one day, one of the little girls runs off to go find like an outfit or some props for the play, and she gets kidnapped by this guy. And the rest of the group goes looking for her, and they find a bag in a tree. And I mean, they knew exactly what it was, and they went up to it and they cut it down, and it was the girl just mangled in the bag, which is just devastating to see, to read, and to watch. Like, it was mind-blowing to me. But it puts them all off on this villain arc, and they just become villains where they're not gonna listen to anyone, do what anyone says. Like, they're just gonna kill to get back at the world for what they did to their friend. And so flash forward into the future a little bit. Kurapika has it out for them. He hates all of them. He wants them all gone to get revenge for his clan. And so he does this by discovering Nen, which is the power system in the anime. And so it is the technique to manipulate one's life force to perform crazy things. They've got manipulators, emitters, transmuters, just crazy things. And Kurapika ends up being a specialist, meaning he can 100% use all of the other techniques. And so he tells his Nen trainer that he wants to have these chains, unbreakable chains that the Phantom Troupe cannot escape from. And his trainer just goes, no, that's impossible. Like, you can't create something unbreakable. And so Kurapika just ends up walking away from his trainer to prove to the trainer that he needs to do this. He needs this to happen. He needs to wipe the Phantom Troupe. And the trainer says, wait, hold on. Like, we can work something out, but you have to give something up. And so Kurapika, being in the state of mind that he is for his entire life, wanting to get revenge on the Phantom Troupe for wiping his family, creates unbreakable chains by making a deal with himself. The more intense and brutal the deal, the more powerful your power or Nen or whatever you manipulate is going to be. So he decides that he will only use his chains on the Phantom Troupe, and if he does specific things with his chains that are only meant for the Phantom Troupe on anyone else, that he will die instantly. And so he does this by wrapping a Nen chain around his own heart with a dagger in it. And I mean, that's the deal he made. That's the contract he made with himself. So now these chains are unbreakable. And Uvugini, this really just big, buff guy, ends up getting into a one-on-one with Kurapika. Kurapika somehow solos him away from the rest of the troupe because he knew that Uvugini is someone who is a solo fighter. They're not going to back down from a fight, and they don't need the rest of the troupe to, like, assist him. And so Uvugini is like, yeah, kid, I'll take you on. And he says, where do you want to do this? And Kurapika goes, I want to take you somewhere where nobody can hear your screams. And this guy just, like, loses it because he's like, yeah, this kid's going to get it now. And so Uvugini's just this big dude who ends up going out into, like, the canyons to fight Kurapika. And it's a crazy fight that they both get involved in. And Uvugini is throwing some punches. Kurapika's dodging it with his Nen by shielding it somehow. I'm not really sure how that all works, but he does it. And Kurapika is just taunting him the whole time. He's like, is this all you got? And Uvugini just loses it once again. So he's like, fine, I'll give you 100% of my power. And he creates this, like, smoke screen by, like, pounding into the ground. So all this canyon dust is being brought up. And so then Kurapika's, like, jumping around in it. And Uvugini has, like, sealed his presence entirely. And Kurapika notices this. And then he gets a really good punch in on Kurapika, and it, like, shatters his arm. I'm talking, like his arm is just swinging around now. But Kurapika, being the smart guy, made one of the chains so that it was like a healing chain, sort of. And so he wraps it around his arm, and he shows him, like, healing. And so now Uvugini's, like, trying to figure out what kind of Nen user Kurapika is, and he just can't figure it out. And so eventually, like, Kurapika's like, you just got to give up, man. This fight has already been over. And then he, like, reveals that one of his chains was being used to be wrapped. One of Kurapika's chains was being used to wrap around Uvugini the entire time. And now this guy is just covered in this chain. And he's like, this kid thinks he's funny. I'm going to break out of this easily. And he tries. And of course, with that contract that Kurapika made with himself, this guy's not breaking out of those chains. and he realizes this, and Kurapika uses that chain that I was talking about that could only be used on the Phantom Troupe, and he stabs it into Uvugini's heart and tries to get recon on all the rest of the members, what their abilities are and all this stuff. And if Uvugini doesn't answer truthfully, then the chain will stab into his heart and kill Uvugini. And Uvugini, being the diehard Phantom Troupe he is, he ends up dying because he's not going to give up the rest of his people's stuff. And so that's one of the main conflicts that Kurapika goes through, is to get the revenge on the Phantom Troupe. And so Uvugini ends up dying, and one scene later, Kurapika is coming out with a shovel. This kid brought a shovel to the fight because he knew he was going to win, and he wanted to have a proper burial for Uvugini. Mind-blowing. I mean, that's just crazy to me that this kid was that confident. But I mean, that's just the main conflict he goes through, is trying to get revenge. But another thing he wants to do is to get all of his Kurapika clan eyes back, all those scarlet eyes. And so in the anime, it kind of like leaves Kurapika out for a majority of the rest, just because they don't show him focusing on getting all those eyes back from people who bought it, stole it from the Phantom Troupe, like how they like sold them to other people. And in the manga, which is like a graphic novel, I guess, for the anime, it goes further than where the anime goes. So I just finished reading that, and there's this one guy, and this prince has all the eyes left, and Kurapika somehow manages to get sort of in contact with this guy. Doesn't really get in contact, like he hasn't met him yet, but he's gonna. And there's a head in the background by all the other eyes where this prince is sitting in his throne, and it's the head of Kurapika's best friend growing up. And so the manga kind of stops just because the writer's on hiatus because of some health issues. So we haven't really seen that conflict get resolved yet, where he gets all of his eyes back. But once he sees his best friend's head, I mean, it's over from there. I mean, anyone's really calling it wraps at that point. And so those are the two main conflicts that I wanted to talk about today, where Kurapika getting revenge on the Phantom Troupe, and Kurapika getting his eyes back that the Phantom Troupe had stolen from each one of his family members, the Kurapika clan. And we see it resolved through him getting revenge. And it's also unresolved because it is a work in progress, a story in progress, that hopefully I will see the end of by the end of my life. I mean, that would be great. Thank you.